So how did you come upon this extraordinary footage, which starts your movie? The footage of a woman who was inside the hurricane and shot her whole neighborhood and then shot the hurricane as it came and everything that she experienced. I mean, this is like a gift from the gods. And how did you find it?
It's actually the way we open the film. You know, in the shelter, they spotted our film crew. Actually, Scott spotted the crew, and you see her walking into frame and actually interrupting an interview that Carl was doing with the head of the Red Cross shelter. And she was, you know, really enthusiastic and really, you know, she just kind of ran into the frame and she started pitching the footage and describing how, you know, her journey to higher ground and insisting that we look at her tape. You know, so that's how it begins.
Did you believe that maybe she had something?
I was on the fence about it, actually. I mean, you know, the story she told was so incredible, you know, and everybody, you know, at that time, you know, had an incredible story. It was an unbelievable moment and a tragic moment, but her story just didn't, you know, we couldn't really believe every word of it until we saw it on camera and we realized that this was, you know, really authentic.
I'd add, as a journalist who's covered these types of events in the past, you know, natural disasters and whatnot, when she walked up to the camera and ran down the list of this is what we did, we were in the attic, ran down the whole list of what ends up being our film, and at the end of it, waited a beat and said, and we got it all on tape. It was an incredible moment.
Well, every documentary filmmaker is looking for that way to focus all the material. So you were able to hang this story, you know, and focus it on her and him. But it's really, in some ways, she's the star. And it's also a transformative experience. Someone who is not so happy, not so doing so well, you know, was she a drug dealer?
She was a drug dealer.
So she really becomes a heroine, becomes someone who saves people. This is a great story. And then when she raps, that is, tell me about how that happened.
You know, we didn't know that she was actually a musician until, you know, at least a couple weeks, you know, filming her. And she revealed, you know, that to us, you know, in the midst of, you know, shooting. And it was stunning. You know, the windows were rattling and she picked up the, you know, microphone and started to rap. And it's sort of the climax of our film. She was a drug dealer. She was intent on transforming her life in the aftermath of Katrina, she and her husband. Good people, you know, in really rotten circumstances, not just as a result of the storm, but, you know, their whole life was plagued, you know, by social problems, you know, before the storm. You know, poverty, racism, violence in their community. And drug dealing was the most sensible option for them in terms of, you know, living their lives. She was an underground rapper, trying to make it big in New Orleans before the storm. Do you want to describe the scene of her rap?
Yeah, well, you see, we do see it in the film, and it's a very genuine documentary moment in Memphis when the day after we arrived in Memphis, the crew and I drove up to the house where they were staying, and the windows were shaking at 9 o'clock in the morning, just rattling. And we went in, and she had this amazing discovery she'd made. She'd lost all of her music in the hurricane, or so she thought, and her cousin happened to have a copy of her CD. And it was a joyous moment. And we went through every song on the CD twice.
Well, do you think that the fact that you were actually filming them changed them in some way?
They're the same people who they've always been, and their perception of themselves changed in the course of being in front of our cameras. And, you know, and they told us many, many times from the very beginning that we're just sort of putting a name on who they are in a way that they didn't realize it in the past.
Yeah, I mean, no, Kim never saw herself as a heroine in her life, you know, and really, you know, surviving without a mom from age 13, taking care of her little brother, taking care of the older people in her community. She was a hero. And she got to see that through our eyes, you know, and now she's finally claimed it, you know, for herself. So that, and we've been transformed in the course of making this film. You know, a lot of our own assumptions about her and her life and her community have been challenged, and I think we're better people for it. We're better filmmakers for it. Yeah. We also actually, as filmmakers, look, she hadn't shot any footage before, the day before the storm. It was her very first time picking up a camera. And we thought, well, what could she, what kind of film could she have that would be helpful to telling the story? And in fact, her footage is some of the most riveting, footage in the film.
I think maybe because she was a rapper, that she was able to sort of tell her story while she was running around with the camera. What a gift that she showed the neighborhood before, and then you saw the after effects.
And her voiceover is amazing. It's really prescient. And look, she, as a rapper, made use of whatever materials, were there for her to create. And that's what she did with the video camera, is telling her story and the story of her community before it was lost forever. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anne.